Last year was my first year without playing. Didn't regret it one bit. I miss being on the field and whatnot, and the excitement of being out there and playing rugby with your mates. But I really haven't missed it, so I know that it was the right time to finish. And nobody likes someone that keeps trying to hang on, cling on too long, and especially when there are young guys champing at the bit to have their place and stuff as well. So I'm happy where I am now. I think I'm learning quickly. I like to think I'm learning quickly and improving in the role of coach. First year it's pretty tough when you've still got the mentality of a player. You don't realise, I guess, how much goes on behind the scenes and how many other considerations there are. It's never been in my nature to tell guys what to do, but at the same time I've had to be more demanding at training, rather than try to be the good guy and be mates with everyone. As long as I think the important thing is delivering it honestly and frankly, and making it so it's not personal when you're telling guys that, hey, listen, we need a little bit more from you there, or we need you to be doing this. And we've already said this a few times, so let's apply ourselves a little bit better. Otherwise, nobody's going to get any further, and you're probably not going to play.
Well, that's the present, Andrew. If we may, can we go on a trip down memory lane back to 1995? You'd just made your All Black debut against Canada, and then you were called up into the Rugby World Cup squad. How was that when there were some fantastic players there?
The guys in the team were fantastic. I couldn't have had a better grounding or a better start in international rugby, and certainly not in the All Blacks, and turning up into a team that had so many experienced guys but who were so, I guess, welcoming of a young guy. I had Graham Bishop as my halfback, who had an incredible pass. I had Walter Little and Frank Bunce on my outsides. There were a couple of other young guys that just made it into the team, like Jeff Wilson and Jonah Lomu and Josh Cronfeld. So, and guys like I say, Fitzy was fantastic. Robin and Zinzan Brook, Michael Jones, Ian Jones, Craig Dowd, Ollie Brown. I could name the team straight away, and it was an amazing experience. And getting to South Africa in '95 for the World Cup was incredible. I mean, suddenly I was thrust into this fast world of international rugby, and we were getting police convoys, police escorts taking us to the ground and whatnot, and cheering mobs and people turning up to watch your trainings and whatnot. And it was all it all happened very, very quickly. Thankfully, I didn't have much time to sit back and reflect on it. It would have probably freaked me out a bit if I'd sat back and thought, my goodness, I'm an All Black. I was watching these guys 6 months ago.
And playing with the great Jonah Lomu, just what was that like?
Yeah, it's easy to in these days of powerful, fast rugby, it's very easy to forget how much above everyone else he was. And not just that, it's very easy to forget Jonah's pace. He was a phenomenally powerful guy, and he used to stand off the line out as the first receiver and, on defence. I wasn't the best defender anyway, but, you get 4 or 5 guys standing side by side thinking we've got to put all these guys in just to tackle the guy, and they're all standing there with their knees knocking. Well, mine were anyway. I don't know about the other guys. I was too scared to look probably, but he was phenomenal. He was very powerful, but people forget how much speed and skill he had as well. He's just very, very quick, just elusive. I mean, one-on-one, it was just impossible. He either used his speed or his guile or his immense power. One-on-one was just almost impossible until the South Africans in the final,
Well, before that final, of course, there were rumours of food poisoning.
I went out goal kicking on the Thursday afternoon, went to Ellis Park, and on the way back started feeling sick and thought it was a bit of car sickness, and ended up vomiting in the hotel foyer at 6 o'clock at night, and went and saw the doctor, and I got isolated. They put me straight aside into a room overnight, so I didn't, pass it on to the other guys. Woke up in the morning, felt better, and got down to the team room and realised that half the team wasn't there, and that even the great Colin Meads, who at his prime was a massive, strong individual, and post-rugby became even more robust, and he was knocked down. He couldn't even get out of bed, so I kind of felt a wee bit better. I thought if this thing's knocked over Colin Meads, then little AP Mehrtens didn't stand much chance ever. And all I guess I've ever said on it was that, firstly, I'm not going to deny that something happened, whether it was a flu or whether it was something that came from somewhere else, I'm not sure, because we had, out of the touring squad of about 35 guys, we had 23 fell sick within the space of about an hour of one another. And that doesn't go through a team that quickly. But at the same time, I can't say that lost us the game at all, because we missed part of our preparation on the Friday, which was the day before the game. But in saying that, we were an incredibly fit team, and we got to the Saturday for the final in Johannesburg feeling, I think we're feeling pretty good. There may be other guys that dispute that. I know Jeff Wilson came off during the match and was still vomiting. There are other guys that may have felt it a bit worse than me, or I'm not sure. But You know, I felt confident in the group, not overconfident, but just feeling on top of things physically.
Illness apart, that final was a great occasion, sporting or otherwise, I suppose.
Yeah, it was an incredible occasion. You know, before the match, to shake the hand of a man like Nelson Mandela, to meet a guy like that was an incredible moment. At the time, I tried to stay focused on the game. I tried to think, okay, well, this will be a moment you'll look back on later in your career. Let's stay focused on the game. But it was an incredible moment. The plane going overhead. I think most of the guys had gone back into the changing room. I tended to stay out a little bit longer on the field, soaking up the atmosphere as much as I could. But I was one of the few guys, one of the few players that was out there to see it go overhead, and that was a huge moment. I remember it had Go Bokke underneath, you know, supporting the Springboks. And we're in South Africa, and it's a rugby mad country, and it's a passionate country, and you know, I felt very excited.
Well, of course, South Africa went on to win. But 4 years later, you had another chance to get through to another World Cup final. But then there was that incredible match against France at Twickenham. What an amazing game.
Yeah, it depends how you look at it, doesn't it? Amazing game or frustrating game. I don't think we weren't a strong All Black team like the press was making out, and certainly the New Zealand press was making out, who, you know, tend to see a few victories and start to expect things and assume things. And I think with the history the All Blacks have got, people have a right, New Zealanders have a right to expect teams to throw everything into it and to search for excellence all the time. But sometimes it gets a bit much, and I don't think we were quite the strong team in '99 that people thought we were, and clearly we weren't. I mean, you know, in the course of 40 minutes, we completely sort of capitulated. I think the French didn't sense they were in a lot of physical danger when they left at half time. I remember thinking at half time, not that I'm trying to make like I could see what was going to happen, of course, but they didn't have their heads dipped down like French often can, you know, when you get ahead of them. It was almost like, I guess, is that all you've got? And it seemed every time we got into our 22, down into our own half, that the French scored, whether it was La Maison kicking a drop goal or whether they scored a try, whether we chipped behind or whatever. So it was just very hard to stop the rot.
And finally, moving on to the 2003 World Cup.
Yeah, quickly moving
on. You, of course, missed out on that.
Yeah, missed out. It is something I use as a bit of ideally a bit self-effacing. I'd hate people to think I was too flippant when it came to rugby and results and stuff, but you know, I always say that in '95 when we lost in the final, I made a vow to never lose in the final again, and I achieved that. I achieved my goal in '99 by losing in the semi-final. So in '99 I set myself another goal to never prematurely lose again in the World Cup, and I achieved that again in 2003 because I didn't get selected. So, you know, in terms of setting goals at the World Cup, I've been spot on. But 2003, you know, I can totally accept that I wasn't picked in the team, and I said at the time, probably if I was the selector at the moment, faced with a choice, I maybe wouldn't have picked myself either. In saying that, get to the World Cup at the end of the year, and I'd been told I was sort of the next cab off the rank, as they said, if there was an injury. And I think Ben Blair got injured, who was a goal kicker. And I wasn't the one called up. Being a goal kicker, I didn't get called up, and I thought at the time, it's probably the one time I've really felt kind of personal, individual about it. I was very disappointed personally not to be taken across to that. But you know, in saying that, I followed the All Blacks. I supported the All Blacks. I was an All Black fan and All Black supporter before I was an All Black, and I'll always be an All Black fan and All Black supporter. So, you know, I supported the All Blacks, and I was as devastated as anyone when we lost in the semi-final.